Nomad Podcast.
Hey, we're the Bitcoin Nomad family. We're bold and provocative, free and independent, decentralized and yet connected to the rest of the world. You don't talk about money? Well, we do. And we ask the question no one wants to ask. Nomads can do anything, even the impossible. And damn, that was a fast intro. So, hello and welcome to this special but also weird episode. Um, Today's episode will mostly be about our podcast and the experience at Les Femmes Orange in Plochingen in Stuttgart. But before we get into all that, I just want to briefly share some information about our podcast. So, as you noticed, or even if you have noticed, who knows, maybe you haven't, but we have been trying out some things, how we should run our podcast, how we should record our episode, when, and if so, how long it's going to be. And, we have been trying to figure out what we should do that fits, that fits us, that fits our podcast, what's best for us. So, and my mom and I came to the conclusion that we will record for both shows, for the German show and for the English show, an episode every 2 weeks, and we will also publish them on Monday. So every 2 weeks on Monday, but not like in 1 week we will record both episodes. No, so 1 week we will record like an English, but like for the English show an episode, and then the next week we will record a episode for the German show, and then we have like a 2 weeks time gap, if you want to say so, between each show and each episode. So every 2 weeks we will publish for each show some new episodes. I hope that was clear. I hope it makes sense. So, but anyway, and we also said that if someone, like for instance, like right now, like if it's just one of us, we just briefly update you, the viewers and listeners, that as I said before, my mom is I haven't mentioned before. So if you noticed, my mom is not here today because she is at a ladies' evening thing, stuff, whatever. And as I said, we're just gonna always update you, the viewers and listeners, on that. So if someone of us is not there, we just we just give a quick update on that. But yeah, that's how we're gonna do it. And let's focus on something else now. As I said before, last weekend, my mom and I were guests at the Femmes Orange at the number one Bitcoin hotel in Stuttgart, in Plochingen. And it's called Hotel Princess. Hotel Princess, if I remember it correctly. And we were from the 19th until the 21st of January. We were there, and it was amazing. So 3 days with lots to talk about. 3 days with lots of learning, especially for us, And it was really interesting. As I said, I'm not sure why, but women and Bitcoin, or generally women and finance, that's not a topic we often hear about. And I think what those women do there, that it was amazing. I mean, they really are pushing that standard that also women should be in Bitcoin, women should be in finance, should be women also dealing with finances, because that's typical, not always, but that women just like to sit back and say, you know what, I'm gonna let my husband do the finances, and I just sit back and watch the children, for example. And that was really nice to see that some women then said, I'm gonna change that now. I'm gonna now deal with the finances. I'm gonna help my husband or my partner to deal with stuff, And that was really nice. And my mom, of course, my mom talked a lot about that. She had two presentations. So she had like one presentation where she just talked about her history, how it is to live as a nomad, because we're nomads, and how we can connect that to Bitcoin, and how it was with the children, and how to be financially independent. Just those were her keywords, if I want to say so. That's what she talked about. And then in her workshop, in her second presentation, she mostly talked about, as I said, homeschooling, nomad life, how that was, and she showed like some examples, and it was really interesting. I had to record 2 hours, so each presentation was 1 hour, so that was a little bit, tricky one. But yeah, that was really interesting and nice. And I was also on stage, but I wasn't presenting. I was actually answering questions. Me and Sophia Prince, so our first guest of this podcast, the daughter of Daniel Prince, we got interviewed by Leia, I think was her name, the host of Zeitsprung in Bitcoin, I think, or Zeitsprung Bitcoin. It's like also it's a German podcast. Make sure to check it out. I will link it down below. We got interviewed how it was for us as the new generation, which grows up with healthy money, which grows up with Bitcoin, how that was for us, and if we miss anything about our old lives or about the system, basically. And we just answered those questions and talked about it. And I was like, well, not at all, because Bitcoin, first of all, is for everyone. It's for old and young. It's for men and women. It's for north, south, east, west. It's for everyone. And I don't really miss my old life. So old life, I mean the life we had in the system, because I never actually also grew up like that. I always grew. I When I grew up, I was always told to be self-independent, to deal with my own stuff. I mean, the most common thing I heard from my brother was actually when I asked him, "Can you help me with this or that, or just help me with my homework?" He was like, "No, Google it or do it yourself." So as I said, I never grew up with this whole system thing like we live in nowadays. But that was really interesting, and yeah, that was basically it. We also what we talked about, but it wasn't. It was at first. If I want to be honest, first it was completely weird, because I'm sitting in front of like 50 people or 100 people. I'm not sure how many know how many people were in that room, but and second of all, it's always interesting to tell your views, to tell your perspective, because some people were like, "Oh yeah, you're actually right with this point," or "Oh yeah, that makes sense," and some people were like, because I saw the faces, I when I see faces, I feel the emotions of those people, and some people were just like, "Well, doesn't feel right. I don't agree with that," and some people were like, "Yeah, as I said, makes sense. Is that's true." So yeah, that was like completely strange, but yeah, as I said, and when the event came to an end, and the light has turned on for some reason,
Bruh.
when the event came to an end, so there were also men there. There weren't just women, but there were also men there. So we men did like a circle, and women did like a circle, and we basically discussed how it was for us. And one topic that came up in both circles was emotions. And topic emotions in finance is always important. It's always interesting, because trust me, people, emotions and finance is not a good thing. If you want to be successful in the financial market, and especially in this Bitcoin space, you can't be emotional, because finance and emotion, it doesn't work out. And matter of fact, a lot of women, I mean, also men are emotional, but a lot of women are emotional. I mean, my mother is the she my mother was never really emotional, because she said, I grew up in a male dominance, or in a male dominant world, where basically everywhere you go, men were like in the high positions. And at my age, at the age of 18, she went into banking, so she had to fight her way up. And she always said, like, the whole trading floor were men. Bank the whole bank she was working at were men. So that's why she is like this tough and straight, because she said, as I said, emotions and finance, that doesn't work out, and a lot of women are just emotional. And my mom is like the perfect example of how women can be if they're not emotional, especially in the finance sector. So yeah, that's what we also mainly talked about, and it was really cool and interesting. I mean, I gained a lot of experience. I also gained some new friends, and everyone was like asking, "Hey, can I? What's your name? Can I get your number? Can I get like your podcast?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure, why not?" And it was really lovely. So yeah, and topics also such as eye level with your partner or with your children. That was also really interesting. We talked about that a lot. We basically the whole 3 days that was like the topic. And and whether we want to opt out completely and live as nomads or as bitcoins or just generally our lives, you know with part so I don't want to make too much of advertising, but we then also made the example with Relay, which is like it's great. I have it on my phone. um we can do stuff like buying Bitcoin and save it until you're like 80 years old. You can do that perfectly. You can do that very easily. And you know, it just takes 1 minute buying Bitcoin with Relay or with all those exchangers and apps. It just really takes 1 minute. And we mainly also talked about that, how we can do that, how we can save our future, our generation with healthy money, which is Bitcoin. And yeah, that was basically what we mostly talked about. And by the way, make sure to check out Relay and use our code nomad21, and your fees will be reduced by 0.5%. But as I said, I don't want to make too much advertising on that behalf. But I will link Relay down below. And I personally think that rounds it up. So, dear people, make sure to check out Les Femmes Orange, because uh, they really do some great work. Make sure to check out her social media. I will also link that down below. Make sure to check out, as I said, Relay, and also make sure to check out Hotel Princess in Stuttgart, which is a beautiful. I mean, I enjoyed my time there. It was like so amazing. You can buy literally the whole hotel is full of Bitcoin stuff. Stickers here, posters there, teddy bears here. I don't know. There was like so much stuff, and it was really cool. So also the owner is really cool. So make sure to check that out as well. I will link that down below as well. So yeah. So this was another episode of Nomad Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I mean, I did. It's always nice to talking to you people. So thank you to you, the viewers, and thank you to Les Femmes Orange for having me on stage and for having my mom on stage. And it was an honor. So thank you, and see you soon. Bye bye.
Nomad Podcast.